So hi all and welcome back. This is a quite interesting video because I just took this kind of huge box from Revell, and Revell have a kind of strange excursus, because before it was the biggest company making models back in time, and became a kind of holding that featured both the American side of Revell, also including the famous monogram model incorporated. So it was a Revell monogram and the European Revell. Then the company during the years had a kind of strange evolution, during the years, probably after several bankruptcy. And it ends that right now the Revell company is completely a German company. So they are very, very skilled, because I think that these guys at Revell try, in the modern world to produce plastic kits is a kind of big puzzle that you have to make it all together. And for example, the manufacturing of the plastic have, of course, to be made in China. And I honestly don't know how it will be going on now with the new taxation that America introduced over China stuff. So I really don't know how this stuff can happen in America. I mean, probably it's about the importation of the stuff down there, because this is anyway a German company, making this. So maybe they are safe down there, but what they do basically is to develop a catalog, to have an idea of the new items for the incoming years. And it's always very, very interesting to see the Revell production of the current year. There is always several items that is so interesting. And one of the news of this year, I think it arrived honestly at the end of 2024, was this Corvette C8 Coupe. It is the last evolution of the Corvette. And Revell is famous because also back in time, for all the production series of the Corvette, you will find the ordinary Corvette, ordinary car, so the normal Corvette, plus usually the super version like a ZR1 or the special production types, as well as very often they produce the racer, the racer type of the car. And I don't know if with this model we'll go in the same identical direction, because usually they arrive after a little while. And let's see if there is some dates on the box. I cannot see that, just the official license. But no, there is no year indication of this product. You see 2024, so this was a copyright there that have been made in 2024 of this beautiful Corvette. As I was saying, Revell always made us used to have great models about the Corvette. The only strange things, and that's why I have this model here that is in 124 scale, is that usually the Corvette models are constantly proposed in 125 scale instead of the usual 124 scale. And as you know, I produced back in time the Callaway C7R, that was the racer version of the Callaway car, and it was the GT3 version, of the Corvette C7R, the evolution made by Callaway. Callaway is basically an American company, but the racer that I made, the racer GT3, is basically a German racer, made by a company in Germany. So it is nothing to do with the American. Remember that probably the best American. I don't dare to say tuner, because in Italy it's a preparatore, means that the guys that are able to do the preparation of the racer in America is a company named Pratt & Miller, and it is the company making this car right now. So they have their channels to do the racer in the proper way, and Pratt & Miller usually are very, very winning cars. The C7 is constant, C7R, the yellow C7, they win at Daytona, they win all over, in America. And they are incredibly skilled in making that type of model. Instead, the Callaway C7R was based in Germany, was produced in Germany, and then exported to the US. And when I made the model, there was a little bit of confusion, because people say, but why, Paolo, the collection is 124, why did you make it in 125? I made it in 125 because every time that I produce a racing kit, my target is constantly to give to the modeler a good quality for a model where you have to apply, and you have to apply your skill. They are anyway indicated for quite experienced modeler, like my last 961, like all my model, the Porsche 911, 3000, 3.0 RSR, they are all on the same branch. So there is always something that the modeler have to do. because in my opinion it's the best if you can have just a conversion, and you can use anyway a plastic donor kit, whatever it takes, whatever it is, because anyway a plastic donor kit gives you much more option, much more possibility to be reworked than give you a kind of blobbing resin just to say, no, this is a full kit and you don't need a donor. Usually donor kits like this is stuff that you pay $20, $25. I bought this one. For this model, I made a nice picture from Amazon. I took it from Amazon, and it was really disappointed because this beautiful art box that they have, you see, it is made really, look, the lady, they are really well done, and it's a wonderful design, by Shepard in 2024. And it was covered by all the labels from Amazon. And I mean, but Jesus Christ, place a bag over this, place something, place a box. I don't know, I can pay $1 more for a box, it's no problem, but do it, No, they did not. So the box arrived completely ruined by Amazon service, and I try to give a negative feedback for this kind of expedition that it seems coming from Germany, direct from the Revell company. So it seems that this shitty work have been made directly by Revell. I really don't know, but I try to make a negative comment about this buying, not about the model, but about the packaging and the expedition. And the funny stuff was that Amazon no longer admit you to say something negative about that. So you cannot contest at all about the expedition, but expedition is a part of the process. It also happened to me randomly that 1 or 2 models that I posted around the world arrived broken. So you have to find a deal with the guy that found this stuff. In the worst case scenario, I'm also always ready to say, okay, send me back, I give you back the money, pay the expedition back like eBay does, even if I ask the payment in a way that usually does not tutelate so much the buyer, just because I don't want to increase other extra costs and so on. I'm not a criminal. I never frauded people in my life, so why to add another extra fee over everything to be sure that Paolo will not fraud you? I tell you, I will not fraud you, and it never happened ever in my life in 40 years that I do this stuff. So arriving to the model at the end, I was able to save in some way, about some minor scratches, this type of box. But as you see, the box already looks quite weathered, it's weathered, it's I don't like this because this is a brand new model. So I wanted, we are basically also a collector of these toys, so I wanted to be perfect. So that's why my point was, it's a little bit disappointing. I get just an answer from Revell company that was asking me what happened and whatsoever, but never went on. So this is a very negative point in my opinion for the expedition. This is a kind of warning because, as you remember, I made another kit review back in time about the Porsche 934, even coming from Revell, to be used like a donor kit from my projects about the Porsche 3 liters RSR, and it also arrived completely broken and the smashed boxes. So it seems there is a problem, because one of the lacking point of the Revell boxes, they constantly use this ridiculous weak carton, it's something that is really extremely cheap. Why don't you simply make a box like Tamiya does, like Japanese do, something that opens in a better way, so the modeler would like to open in a different position. This is a silly situation, a silly stuff, but no, with Revell you constantly have in a side like a biscuit box. This is negative point of the kit. About the plastics, the plastic is anyway, every time that you find a 125 model of the mighty Corvette, you always find a great model. And as I said, when I made my conversion, I based it on the 125 G7R produced by Revell Monogram at the time, and some people asked me, but it is not in the proper way. The difference we will see a little later in the video. I hope try not to make this become a kind of 40-minute video, because I don't want to bore people so much with my talk. And basically the point is that the car is nearly identical. If you look at really the main dimension, there is something slightly different on the wheelbase, which in the colorway I changed, on the wheels, which in the colorway I changed, and the only part that remained in common, because that was in my opinion too tricky for a modeler to recreate completely a windshield, was shared together with the original kit from the C7R. But let's talk about this C8, because this is the review of the C8, and then they compare with the racing version in 124. As usual, they come in these big plastic boxes, glued in the middle, and of course it is tough. Even if the company, as I said in the beginning, it is a German company completely, it is of course made by my friends in China. So this is anyway produced in China. The plastic is in the typical line of Revell, so they use this kind of, I don't know how to describe it, kind of fluffy, kind of strange look white plastic, but the detail is not so bad, it's neither so great because you are never at the reaching the details that Tamiya has, but I think it's also because of the type of the plastic involved that, in my opinion, doesn't look so nice and crispy like the gray ordinary plastic. I didn't hear about the black plastic, but they try to do something like a matchbox models made back in time when they proposed the planes in different color. You have a green, you have a blue, you have azure, you have a sand. Just make it in gray, because the people have to paint this stuff. So it can be okay, because anyway, if you want to keep a color like in the instruction sheet, like this nice red on the body, if you have a white base, that can be better. But usually modelers that produce this stuff, that build up this stuff, are used to paint and to give a primer. So whatever is the color that you have under, even if it is a black color, with a primer you can make the color that you want. Of course, it's better if it is a light plastic, so just keeping white at the body maybe, like Tamiya does, and keep the other parts in black or in gray, not everything in white. But this is a choice that they have, And as usual, in this model, you will have a quite interesting feature, because you see the transparent parts that you can see from here. All the transparent parts are boxed together inside another type of plastic, so they are kind of protected from the scratching from the other parts, but is anyway quite sensitive, because if you press over this stuff, it's quite easy to happen what happened to me in the Porsche 934, even from Revell, that you crack the windshield. So that can be a little bit issue, And the nice part, in my opinion, of the Corvette kits made by Revell is always that they feature the full mechanicals inside. So in all this model, look how many huge parts there is there. As usual, sorry guys, I don't open the plastic, because I think that you already can see much better and clearer picture on the net about this type of model, so you can see all the sprues all together. It's unusual to say sprue number 1, sprue number 20, sprue number 50. You already know what kind of sprue there is inside. It's just a comment of the generic overall look of the new kit. And the positive part is always that this type of model featured the full mechanics. So also here you have a great detail for the engine, that in this series of the Corvette was the first series that switched from the position in the front end. All the previous Corvette was famous to have this very, very long nose, which features the V8 inside. Instead, this new series that they started now to do this new type of Corvette feature the engine in the Ferrari position, so the car really look like a kind of cheap Ferrari, in my opinion, because they take it a little away, the real mantra and the real spirit of the Corvette, that was to have this big motor in the front, and they place the motor in the best position ever to produce a racer, because this is a central position. You see the engine is before the rear wheels, so this is a central position, very low, to optimize the body center of the car, and the car becomes incredibly much more performing than an ordinary car that have the motor in the front. So it's a strange situation, because there is anyway some also racer. If you think, for example, at the Panots and the Panots racer, the Panots GT1 racing in the 90s, in the early 2000s, these have a huge bonnet in the front. The Dodge Viper was the same. That was a huge motor in the front, and the car was a beast to drive. So it really depends. If you think at the Porsche 911, the motor is behind the rear wheels, so that is a definition that in Italiano becomes posteriore a sbalzo, means that the engine is completely outside and lower to the position of the rear axle. But honestly, if you look the configuration of all the best racers in the world, so if you take a Pagani Zonda, if you take a Ferrari, if you take mostly Ferrari, the engine is nearly constantly in the middle of the car. The Lotus Elise was the same situation. Lotus Elise was a little toy, and the motor, good or bad or whatsoever, what the expert says, well, anyway, central position and lower, so that is the best to optimize the weight distribution around the configuration of the car. And the new Corvette is then following this type of schema, and is a little bit different from the ordinary Corvette, but the kit is anyway extremely well done. Here we have, this is much more clear in my opinion, to look directly to the instruction sheet of the model. before the blah blah, do not eat the model, do not take fire to it when you are near a gas station. Of course, they feature a quite nice, see, printed in Italy. They don't dare to say any longer cartograph. I don't know for which reason, but this is printed in Italy. That way, printed, like I like to say, you know. Also, the guy that is talking now is made in Italy. I am made in Italy. Never mind if I'm talking in English, if I live in Sweden, it's the same, but I am born in Italy. Okay, and they are quite good, so probably Cartograph made it for Revell, and they constantly had great decals. You know, if you have to have a choice between the same identical mold, because you know that usually Revell take molds also from other company, and the box, this ugly, as we seen before, box from Revell. Box ugly, I mean ugly type of box. Always choose the Revell box, because the Revell box has this great quality decal inside that are really, really super. I don't know if the road plates are real, because very often these are completely fantasy. I can talk about the Italian road plates, so this should be a CO in the last part, that means Como, and there is 22 over. 22 means that the car is road plated in 22. CH 800, it can be a personalized car, CH 800 CH. Sounds extremely strange, you know, but probably it is made to sound like a Corvette C8, something like that. You know, I don't know about the other road plate, but usually they are completely fantasy road plates, so you can also not use it and nobody will miss it. It's much better, in my opinion, if you want to go for a road plate, to place simply the Corvette logo, the real Corvette stuff over, and that's it, you know. And the quality of this decal, as I said, is constantly excellent, and very easy to work with. The model itself is all these parts. You see, they divided the body properly, also having the rear hatch like in the C7 completely separated to be much more detailed, you know, for the molding print. And also the rear part features rivets and all the suspension, and the nicest part ever is, in my opinion, that they feature the complete V8 engine, you know. Here it is, so you have constantly the mechanical part, and also the rooftop is possible to be taken away, and it's really great model. So every time that you have a collection, I think I collected all. I just made the mistake, I think, that I sold the ZR1 of the C6, I think that I sold ZR1, yeah, that I sold because they made it too many. And when I had a shop back in time, that was a supercar when it arrived on the market, there was a guy living near me that had two of them, so he liked that so much, one black and one red. I remember him. Was an extremely nice car, and for the price that you pay for such type of model, it's really the American sporty car that is. I love them, simple like that. The Corvette is something that you cannot, if you like cars, you cannot love the Corvette. There is the protection for, you know, for the wheel arch, for the inner side. There is this little bit clumsy side for the wheels, so in my opinion it's always better that you, when you arrive at this step of the model of the assembly, they still have that kind of not so nice plop, a huge click to be placed inside the upper part and the lower part of the car. But at this step I always suggest you to keep a better look to the ride height of the car and to see if the wheels fit properly, because it's, I was just reading now in the social media that is constantly, also with the new kits, is a constantly issues about this model, that the ride height is totally mistaken. The ride height and also the how much the wheels comes outside of the wheel arch, they have to be a critical point. If you make a 124 model or whatever scale car model, the ride height, the setup of the car is critical, is a part that you notice at once. There is so many nice models that you see in the contest made in the best way ever, and then the ride height is totally off, and that is a shame in my opinion, so it's something that should not happen. And that's it. Then they go on for the internal part. You see also the seats, they are nearly identical to the seats featured in the 458 Ferrari, so modern car looks all the same. And steering wheel, I think they provide both the left hand drive and the right hand drive. Yeah, there is so the possibility to have the two dashes for the normal market, I say, because I am a left hand drive car guy, but there is country where they have different one, like Japan, like Australia, I think, like the UK, of course. And that's it. The model is absolutely beautiful. You see how many passages there is. We are going 42 step, 43, 45. There is a lot of steps, so you have a lot of detail, and there is also space to improve it a lot if you like to build it up like a street racer, like a street ordinary car, not a street racer, you know. and maybe can become a little bit nicer if you want to change. Maybe I think the wheels every time became nicer with proper and different and nicer wheels after your taste, but honestly also the wheels provided by Revell here are not so bad, are constantly made in the Revell type, so they are quite a little bit clumsy in the fitting to the body, and this is also a critical part, so you have to arrive to this step without gluing the upper to the lower part. So try to arrive it to make a kind of dry fit when you arrive in this type of the step, and that's it. Final details, there is a possibility to let the engine covering completely opened, and that is very very nice because then you can see the motor from inside. That is a very very nice detail, as well as the top roof is in the way that have not to be glued, you know, have to be removable. So it is the same like I did in my Ferrari SP3 Daytona from Alpha model. It's enough that you just keep it painted, maybe a little support extra because they are a little bit light and a little bit delicate in the position where you place this type of extra roof, and you can see the interior if you detail it in the proper way. That's it. The model is a great one. See the final look of the car. Corvette is always a very very nice car in my opinion. They just, but this is as I said before, it is just my nonsense opinion, they just lost a little the spirit of the Corvette that in my opinion was much more aggressive. If I have to choose a series of the Corvette, I think the best one that I like was the C3 of the 70s. That was really something that still today when you see that car you say, okay, that's a Corvette. That's really the C3 is the spirit of the real American car. And many also do very nice graphic with American flag over it. It's really really American, so I really like it in that way, you know, to be that way. This looks much more like a Honda NSX, like a kind of wannabe Ferrari, so I don't know about the look of this car. I just took the model because anyway don't cost so much, it's a wonderful new kit. You see also here the ride height is quite high to be a Corvette. Look the front end, real Corvette, they are usually blades on the ground, so they are much more lower than the look that you can have with this model, you know, but that is something that you can work on it. You can fit a little better. Look the wheels, they are a little bit coming outside if you see that, you see there's a little lack of the modeler, and but that's it. I mean the meaning of the model is anyway extremely good, and then we go for the final confrontation. I hope that it can be clear because it just have one end here, so I would like to show you which is my idea of this stuff. Hold on, that I turn it in the other side so a little more clear the situation. So if you have a look at here, you clearly see the difference. Well, you have to consider here that, hold on, maybe here is a better position for this. But what do you have to consider here that is that this is the racer made by Burago in 1/24 scale that I bought some month ago now, I think nearly 1 year ago, and you can spot the main difference, but the overall length of the car is basically the same. This is just much more wider if you look in front of them. The windshield is nearly identical, you know, it is just a kind of 10% improving of the side of the 1/24. The more the number goes down, the more the model became big. And for example, the features that you have here about the completely opening engine, here absolutely you don't have. This is just a curbside model kit that in my opinion is quite well done, just if not for the paint. The paint is really made with a kind of cheap painting when you see completely the paillette of the metals inside, so it's really looking ugly. The real Corvette racer made by Pratt & Miller is not absolutely of this type of glittering silver, so that is completely off in the Burago model. Of course, you have to consider that when you buy this type of objects, as I always say in my diecast review, you basically buy a shape, you basically buy something that is the look of the model, usually made because also this model, my Burago, is made after the royalties of the Chevrolet, and I think that right now, because the group is the same, Revell just keep the racer version for the slot racing purpose, and I think that the C8R have been made in 1/24 scale, so in the proper scale like a body, but the detail is, the plastic is different, the detail is totally different from an ordinary kit, is available in the range of the Scalectric SGX that they do, the Carrera 124, they call it slot racer. So if you search for that type of model, you can find in that range. Usually, anyway, when you buy kind of slot racer in 124, they sold these models not like kit, so they are already assembled, featuring the motor, featuring the wheels and the tire. So usually it's a model that you pay around 120 to 150 euros, nearly the same in dollars, depending where you get the item. So it's not so cheap to buy them with the idea to take it, to strip it down, to make something different. If you want to do it, I deeply suggest you to do it with this type of model. This requires a kind of little bit extra work, because for example the side vents here, that are of course not present in the street version, they have to be opened. They are not at all like this way. They are completely like in the Porsche Rexy, they have a kind of grill here that is not present, of course, for molding purpose. They cannot do this type of detail on this type of cheap models, of cheap toys. And another option should be, and don't think that I'm not thinking of that, but I don't know, because it really exists already other stuff in 124 scale if you want to really stay in 124, but to convert this one to make the racer, because basically you have to go to a wideness of the body that is neither too difficult, it's not so easy, but it's neither too difficult. But once again, if I convert this stuff, it would be in the same condition situation that I will try anyway to avoid in the future, that you anyway are converting a 125 model to a racer kit. So people, there is some guys, for me it was not a problem, because anyway the Callaway collection was completely sold out in a blast. The car was so interesting and so nice, and I was lucky because there was companies, I think a slot fabric from Fola company making the decal from that racer, also Decal Doc made the decal for that cars. So I was lucky that there was already several livery difference. I don't think it's the same for this kind of model, because there is absolutely nothing, and the model that you already have in 124 scale are already finished model with already the livery on, so you don't need to do the work of strip it down and repaint it completely with the new decal sheet with an extra cost. And at the end, if you take a racing kit, $100 plus a model, $40 with expedition and so on. Decal can be another $30-40. You are nearly going to 200 euros to do a model by yourself. So in my opinion, is a little too bit. That's why I don't think I will go for that kind of situation with this model. I will just simply enjoy it. And as I said, you see there is a slightly different in the wheelbase. When I made my Callaway, I of course adapted it. Consider it's just a 10% smaller of this one. Is a sister that is a 10% smaller, and indeed in this particular type is even slimmer, because the street version is not so wide like the racer. So all the area around the front light, have a look, this is much wider. You see all the wheel arch, the fender became bigger, the same of the rear part. It's not an impossible work. I mean, if there is nothing around, of course I can think to do it in the same way of the Callaway, but I really don't know. Plus, of course, all the interior part should be different, because I think just the dash is similar to the street version, but then of course all the interior is a modern racer, so I cannot use a touristic version for this. It's a little bit different. So that's it. My opinion, finally, the model is absolutely worth the money they ask for. Just said for Revell that keep on and on to make these silly boxes with very nice art box design. But if you like American cars, if you like the Corvette series, if you have a collection of these wonderful cars, simply go for it, because it's absolutely worth it, and they are always very fun to build, and quite precise models. Just keep an eye, as I say, to the right date. That's my idea, guys. I hope you liked the video. Hit and subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching, and see you in the next one. Peace. Still with my broken feet, guys, still with my broken feet. I don't know what to do, so I just do kit review and try to make days pass. Now we are half of the way on the healing of this situation. You see, modeling stuff, silver tape. That's it. Peace.